And we are live on United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans. How cool is that? Happy Friday to everyone. I hope your Friday is going as well as mine is. And this is Father Shawn's Paranormal Ministry. I'm your host, Father Shawn Whittington. To all those above me that watch over me, to all of you, my favorite para peeps on this side of the veil, welcome. I'm an ordained Catholic priest with the United States Old Catholic Church. I'm a fully professed brother with the Old Catholic Benedictines of Immaculate Mary. I'm a team member of Society of St. Benedict and co-founder of GhostBegone.biz. And on that note, if there's anything you want to know about my wife and I and our ministry work, go to our website, www.ghost-b-gone.biz. And if you go there to visit, there's a lot of cool things to see. Both my books are there, God Ghost in the Paranormal Ministry and God Ghost in the Paranormal Ministry 2. If you get the books off the website, they leave my office. I autograph them and they come to you enclosed in a house blessing kit, which is very cool. You can get them a little less expensive on Amazon, and they're also now available in audio, which is very, very cool. But if you get them off the website, part of the proceeds of every sale of every copy of my books goes to support stjude.org and the ASPCA. So that's a wonderful thing, too. There's a place on the website where you can make an appointment to speak with me about your spiritual issues, not paranormal, but spiritual. And my course is there, Introduction to Spiritual Warfare. It's a 12-week online college-level course, comes complete with a diploma slash certificate of completion suited for framing, along with some very, very special blessed items that you can only get from yours truly for my graduates, and I make sure everybody graduates. So that course is there. If you want to speak with me about the syllabus of the course before making that type of commitment, um, I'm easy to get a hold of. Send me a message, and we'll talk about it. So that's my story, and I'm going to stick to it. Um, got a great guest today. She's just so. That's why you all tuned in. Everybody knows her and loves her. She's just really, really cool. I know my co-host is excited to meet her because she hasn't met her yet. So that's another great thing about my Friday shows. I have a wonderful co-host who's been waiting patiently in the green room. Let me bring her out first. She is a I've known her forever. She's a good friend. I love her. I respect her. She's the owner of Stellium Books. She's my publisher. She's had her own show for many years. She's a paranormal authority and enthusiast. Welcome to the show, the one and only Annette Munich.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Shawn. I'm really excited to be here. Very excited about our guest today. Um, I think that this is going to be a fabulous show and just happy to be joining you. And hello to everybody listening in and all the people of New Orleans.
Well, let me tell you what you gave me one response. I always send you a little information on next week's guest, and then you make up the beautiful promotional banners for the show. But I know you do a little stalking of them to get a little info on them. And your one response back to me was, she looks amazing. And I'm here to tell you before you even meet her, and I'm going to let you guys chat. She is amazing. I've stalked her too. We stumbled upon each other on LinkedIn, I think, and then we exchanged phone numbers and we actually spoke on the phone for quite some time. And it was just a really wonderful experience. So I'm really excited to get her on. I don't want to leave her hanging too long, so let's get to the prayer urn. Jenny A. Hi, Jenny from
Hi, Jen.
Wyoming. When's the last time we heard from someone in Wyoming?
Hmm.
Jenny, I inherited an old farmhouse out in the middle of nowhere. I feel there may be some angry spirits here. Can you offer up a prayer over my land? I'll I'll crank up the volume on my speakers. That is very cool. I often do that for people that reach out to me for help. We'll pray together and they'll crank the volumes up on their speakers so whatever's there can get the message and get out. So that's wonderful. Let me offer up a nice prayer of protection for her and for everybody listening that might be dealing with one extra unwanted guest in the room. Um, crank up the volume. In the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. Lord Jesus Christ, in thy name, I ask thee to bind and silence all powers and forces that do not accept thee as Lord and King, in the air, in the water, in the ground, the netherworld, and nature, and the spiritual world. I ask thee to bind all demonic action and demonic communication. Lord, seal this whole place, all of us here, and all of our intentions in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. Mary, we ask thee to surround us with thy mantle of protection and crush Satan's power in our lives. Saint Michael the Archangel, we ask you and all our guardian angels to defend us in battle against Satan and the powers of darkness. Amen.
Amen.
Jenny, that goes out to you, Jenny. Please keep me posted on this. I'm sure it's a beautiful old farmhouse out there in Wyoming that you inherited from family. Keep me posted on your issues. Alrighty. Let's check the mailbag real quick. Mailbag was I cheated and what I've been in there a lot this week because it got so full. I didn't want to sit here and feel bad for a bunch that I didn't get to. This is from Jeff B. Hi Jeff. I Utah. Oh, that's right next door to me. My young daughter has an imaginary friend.
Uh-oh.
How can yeah? How can I determine? And this is gonna. I already know this is gonna be a great question for my guest. I'm gonna save it. How can I determine if she is just going through a phase, or if she is has befriended a ghost, or is it something more sinister? You know what? I get that question a lot, and that is going to be a great question for my guest. Um, but really quick, Jeff, there's really no way of knowing. I've been fooled before. I've I've had my doubts speaking to children of clients who claim that they have an imaginary friend. I'd get some help. Get somebody over there who can see, feel, and experience. Someone like my guest today. They can feel, see, and experience what may be coming and going through the veil, what's going on in the house. One on one conversation with the child is crucial. You can't do that stuff over the phone. But believe in your child, support your child. Don't make fun of them, don't shun them. They're looking for support and love from their parent, and and believe in them. So it's probably her little imaginary friend is probably just that, a little spirit ghost. But you've got to be careful because they fool children. The more sinister, lower vibrational, malevolent entities tend to fool the children too. So get an expert over there to talk with your child and see what's going on in your home. Anything you would like to add, my wonderful co-host, before we bring on my wonderful guest?
I think that's really good advice. And I think that, um, well, you have like little girls and they're having a little tea party and they say, this bear is named this and this is, my friend this and I have a friend and that's play. But if they start saying things that make you take pause, or especially if they seem to start telling you things that they know things that they shouldn't know about, that it seems more than just I'm playing, tea party or something, and I'm making a makeup game.
Absolutely. Yes, that's going to be a great question to talk about, my guest. So, are you guys all ready for this? Buckle up,
But
because
wait, buckling.
because she's unlike anybody I've ever met and spoken to, um, and you all know her and love her. So, and I'm honored that she was available to come on the show today. I know she's a lifelong paranormal experiencer and enthusiast and authority. She's had her fair share of going out there and ghost hunting and paranormal investigations and you name it. Um, Radio, TV, and film personality. I know you. If you haven't already caught one of the many shows that she's been on, you can find them all over YouTube. She is a celebrity, but she also happens to be a celebrity psychic medium. Brothers and sisters, please give a big, warm paranormal ministry family welcome to the one and only Karyn Reece.
Hi, everybody. Thanks. Great introduction. Love it. Hey, Annette. Funny story. I kept hearing the name Annette today, and I have a good cousin named Annette, but I'm like, I don't need to call my cousin Annette. I just talked to her, and she's working. It was you. No such things as coincidence. I was laughing as Shawn, you were pulling her up. So that's hilarious, but nice to finally connect. And thank you for inviting me on your show. Super cool intro. Love it. So cool.
Well, God bless you for being here. You are truly gifted. You also have a good soul, and you help. There's so many people. I mean, the paranormal community umbrella is over all of us, and there's so
Yeah.
many different people coming in from different, neighborhoods doing their thing. And I hate to say it, and I'm going to get hate mail for it, but there's a lot of people in the paranormal community that don't really care much about helping people. You're not one of those people. So I love you and respect you. We had a wonderful talk on
We
the phone
did.
that one time. I know Annette's dying to chat with you, so I'm going to let you guys chat. But before I let you two chat, do you have any advice for Jeff
Yes.
B in Utah who's got a little daughter who's got a little imaginary friend? And I suspect that he suspects a ghost, or he wouldn't have actually sent me the letter. And I'll leave it at that.
Yes. It's funny because I've always seen dead people since I was 2. And this runs on my mom's side of the family, and I've made predictions. But one of the things that I learned very early on with my grandma, who's very spiritual, we have Catholics on the Catholic side of my family. They're the psychics, by the way. So I was never raised Catholic, though, but that's a whole nother story. But, anyways, I've always said, I tell people, do you come in the name of God? So you can tell this, little girl, by the way, and I kept seeing 2 kids around her, too. So there's more than just one, but do you come in the name of God or do you come in the name of Jesus? And let's face it, God created everything. So there's nothing to fear, as you know. And you're a badass, by the way, Shawn. That's what I love about you. you know, you are. And look, you can totally get rid of the naughty demons and what have you, which I had a great conversation earlier with some friends because the world's getting very insane, but we can talk about that in a minute. But with this little girl or with anybody, I always say, do you come in the name of God or do you come in the name of Jesus or do you come in the name of Moses? I usually just hit up God. God's probably tired of hearing me, but and then this way, that particular demon usually will retract, and that's what I've done. I mean, my gram told me that at age 7 because I predicted my dad's passing. 3 weeks later, he passed away totally unexpected. So, um, you know,
I've also found that it's tough sometimes because sometimes whatever this is, talking to the child, will
yep,
only communicate with the child. So even you bring in other people, unless they're truly gifted like you and they can't hide from you,
yep,
um, they will only talk to the child. So then it's hard to get the child to, um, you know, uh, Mary, ask your friend this, ask your
mhm.
friend that, and the child doesn't really know what's happening, and you don't want to scare the child. So that can be difficult. Bottom line is they need to get somebody like you in there to see what's going on. But on that note, I'm going to let you talk to the Annette, who was probably the name that
The
was coming in your
Annette.
head today.
Yes, I kept hearing that name. I'm like, I just spoke to my cousin Annette last night. It was
That's
you.
so
It
interesting
happened.
too, because it's not a very common name.
No,
Even like back in the day, there were some, but there were a lot of names that ended in Ed, Jeanette, and
exactly.
there was a whole slew of them, but it's never been that popular of a name. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and she's one of my faves too. We're best friends and we're cousins. So
Uh,
at least beats having the name Karen. Don't be a Karen or Reese's Pieces, okay? They say I'm weird because I see dead people make predictions. Really? I've got food for thought, and don't be a Karen. I'm like, really? Reese's Pieces,
Do
but
you mind if I ask either one of you? I'm not woke. I don't think I have any friends that are all woked out. I hear that term a lot, or she's just a Karen. Where did that, does you guys know where that came from and what that's all
no,
about?
I don't know.
I don't either.
no. I think it's dumb, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I'm
that
like,
is dumb. I don't,
everybody's so like whacked out nowadays. It's like
yeah.
time to relax.
Isn't
So
it funny that people like us were thought to be the whack jobs at
Totally.
one
Right.
time. Now we're the normal ones, and it's like everybody else that was normal is now whacked out.
Yeah.
What has happened? So
Oh,
um,
the world's gone upside down. I'll tell you, I was just talking to some luncheons, some friends of mine, and we were talking, and you know this, how much there's been such a demand for your services. You feel the energy, the stuff. I saw it as a kid, all these things changing. So, it's just interesting how we're all a bunch of pawns in this game of chess. So having that God center, like what you do, Shawn, is amazing and it's so important. And you dig in such a deep level. You help so many people and so many more people be coming your way. Thank God.
yeah, it can be overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, between what Bishop Long, my bishop, gets people reaching out, and everybody that's in the Society of Saint Benedict, we're the actual Office of Exorcism for the USOCC, and we're the team that actually paranormal teams that run into something that's, they didn't expect to run into and they don't know what's going on. We're that team that they can reach out to. So we really help the paranormal community, and there's not many places where paranormal teams can go to for help because they're supposed to be the ones that know how to help themselves, and that's not always the case.
Mhm.
Then it's my wife and I with Ghost Begun, which we've had for 20 years. So that little triangle there, we're very busy, and I'll never get to the end of all of my messages, whether it's emails or private messages or letters. People still do send letters, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it's just never ending. So before I always promise, and then I'm going to let her jump in and chat with my guest. But you mentioned something in the beginning of the show, how the world is upside down and the world is so crazy now, and you wanted to touch base on that. From your viewpoint, from your vantage point, and from where you see things, whether it be this side of the veil or the other side of the veil, or how they're bleeding into one another the way they are right now,
Mhm.
and the way the world is so crazy. What's your take on everything?
You can just see the demonic energies in every area, which has been predicted in Revelations. I remember in junior high, I remember seeing alignments of various countries, Iran, Korea, China, Russia, as well as seeing the darker energies coming in. And I see it psychically, and I've been seeing it. And when you look at the activities, and what was right is wrong, what is wrong is right, how that's we're all like little pawns. So I do see a lot. I get a lot of clients, they have anxiety, they're picking up other people's energy. People can't really manage the emotions. There's all of this like sideways energy. People aren't grounded either. It's really important that we, try to ground ourselves, find that base, try to learn to manage our emotions. But people, we're all being manipulated. I mean, and it's in everything when you think about it, whether it's your food that's that's not healthy for you. You get hypnotic things, through, television or what have you. So, plus people, the problem too, I think a lot of people like to dabble. And you brought up a really good point. In this industry, anybody could put a shingle up and call themselves, whatever paranormal type of personality that they want to be. But if their intention isn't in alignment with the higher, the highest and best, then, they think that this is, nothing but, a fun, shits and giggles. Let's see what goes, knock in the night, So you got people that like to just out of curiosity, but then they open a door and they really don't know what they're doing. So it's interesting. They kind of make it sexy, but if you don't know what you're doing, and then people get involved into whether it's drugs or alcohol, you got to be really mindful of that, because it lowers your guard. It puts holes in your oars. When I look at people, I can see like holes in their oars and know right away that they may be a substance abuser. Even if it's pain med, we all, like, I have a bad neck, so occasionally I'll take an Advil or something, but you just got to be mindful. But I think we're being pulled in so many different directions. It's like we're not able to sit and think, meditate, pray, right? So what I like about the Star of David, pointing up is praying to God. The upside down portion of it is like listening to God in meditation. People don't do that anymore. Too many distractions. They're on their phone, and everybody's, you know, um, in more of an area where they should be more centered, and find a reason to live. And finding a good reason, if you feel hopeless, is see what you can do to help others. I'm a big animal lover, by the way. I always say test on criminals, not on animals. And I'm always doing things. I just did a fundraiser for horses. So no long faces there. Had a good time. Never rode a horse, but hey. for a lot of fun and pet them, had a good time. But that's a whole nother thing. But that's my take on it. I mean, all these kids today, like, and I shouldn't say kids or adults, but everybody, and then we've had lockdown for a few years. I mean, there's that whole,
Yeah.
arm of that too. So, it's just finding that purpose. What makes you happy? How can you help others? If you help others, you're thinking about them and you're not putting the focus on you. So you're not, playing that wheel. Try to do some good, helping animals. But we're so into ourselves now that we don't even pay attention to what's going around. So it's crazy.
Well, I am going to. I'm going to. If I don't just be quiet right now and let it talk to you, I'm going to hear it later because she was so excited to talk to you today. So I'm going to let the two gals chat for a little bit.
Good coffee talk.
Yeah. And this is really a really great topic and very timely. We get a lot of questions that are related to it in one way or another. And I remember 2023 was a really hard year for me because that was the year I really started seeing it. Like you said, all over the place. It's like, what? And like you said, upside down world. It's like, no, it's not that bad. It couldn't possibly be that bad. But it's crazy. And also our society, like I was saying to my daughter the other day, we just sort of lost our centeredness and our connection because, and I think it's because of the change of TV. We all had so many channels. Everybody knew what all these shows were, and people would get home to be in time to watch the show they like, and they talk about it. And the news was the news, and now it's like a world of so much. It just is the opposite of unifying. Everybody's almost in their own universe, and some people see it and some people don't. And I think that if you see it and you're a believer, then you're in spiritual warfare, whether you make a big decision to be in spiritual warfare or not. You just find that that's where you are, because it's kind of a lot of it, besides being dark, is kind of ludicrous too. There's a ludicrous aspect to it all, and you're just kind of processing what you just saw, what you just heard, and stuff like that. It's very, very pervasive.
You could have hit that harder. And it's very true when you're aware of what really is going on. But there's so many people that aren't, I think they call it like dissonance or something, but that's 100% on. People of the light tend to recognize, they can delineate, they can actually see the forest from the trees. You're 100% on with that and that, totally.
Right, because your senses tell you, they're like, this isn't right. Something about this is wonky. And a lot of things seem very wonky. And I feel sorry for younger people because we've been around for enough years to know, no, we don't do things like that, or no, it was never like that before. They don't. They accept it as, well, that's the way the world is, but it isn't. It's not the way the world is. It's upside down world, and the bad are, considered good, and the good people are considered bad even, It's really, really disheartening. Some days it feels very heavy. Some days I can't handle watching any more stuff. I just have to be by myself for a while,
Kind of chillax. That is so very true. And that's exactly what the negative energies want. They want to break your, spirits down so that you're not saying, hey, we're going to continue to lift up. It's funny, a few years back, I was in a meditation. I go out of body a lot, right? I'm out of my mind, might as well be out of my body. But anyways, just saying. By the way, I've met Jesus a few times, and I'm not religious, but I'm spiritual, but I could share it down the road. But anyways, I remember going up, I'm in space and I'm looking at the globe, and God says, look at this hand. And I saw this really demonic, it was a black hand, super like spindly fingers, big pointy fingers, grasping the earth. And I'm like, I see that. Okay, God, and I'm like, I get that. And he says, but hang on. I said, okay, what else do you want to show me? And then I hear swish, swish. And all of a sudden I saw angelic wings coming from behind. So the hand was in the front, the globe was, it was globing, handling it that way. And then these wings come back, and I'm like, oh, gotcha. So eventually, good will prevail, which it will. It's just, we're going through this, cycle, this pattern, so that's at least hopeful. And I think it has a lot to do with people like us and your listeners, because, we're for the highest and best. You just can't let the negativity pull you down,
Right.
you know?
I pray a lot for exposure.
Oh, I love that.
Just let us see it. Let us see it for what it is,
Exactly. And let the people realize and recognize that the ones that don't recognize it for what it is.
Right.
It's like even Mother Shipton, I think, she said things would be, in reverse. What is good is bad. What is bad is good. And I've been seeing that since I was a kid. I've seen so many things. So those were awkward teenage moments as a psychic medium, just as a sidebar when you're a psychic, but.
So
I'm
would you
I'm a
say that
big
you were
lover. I'm a big lover of guardian angels, and
Oh,
I
same.
I people tell me all the time that they don't believe in them, and
They're true.
sometimes these are people that really need help, and I tell them whether you believe in them or not, you've got at least one
Yep.
assigned to you. It's waiting for you to ask for its help. So do it.
Yes.
And I have never had anybody come back to me and say that didn't work. They've all told me as soon as I accepted and believed and asked for help, I got it. What's your take on guardian angels? What do you want people to know about guardian angels?
They do exist. And the funny thing is, it's funny you should say that. Like, I've always been like, as a little girl, I would see Jesus and all this other, and I would talk and I'd go out of body. And I have a bunch of stories that way. And I remember one time in a meditation many years ago, I heard Gabriel's going to work with you, the guardian angel. And at the point, I'm like, I kind of knew about him, but I wasn't like, some walking encyclopedia, if that even exists nowadays. I guess it would be the internet. And, so I'm like, okay, that's great. And then I came to realize that Gabriel does communication from this world and that world. I go, well, that totally makes sense, because oftentimes it's what I do. I'll see spirit people and, communicate with them. They never do the dishes, by the way, but I will talk with them. Yeah. But they wake me up at night. Yeah. That's a whole nother story. But, so I'm like, this really totally makes sense, and I'll see future, whatever. So a lot of times, angels will sort of show me the future, future situations. So I totally believe in them. And you don't even have to know which one does what, Raphael or Gabriel or however many, there's so many different, the seraphims and all, the club of angels. Just put it out to the good Lord or out to the angelic realm, but they answer prayers. And I have seen how prayers work. They're miraculous. And that too, both of you, from your experiences. And people sometimes look at you and like, nope, prayers work. And, speaking to angels, they work.
I'm a huge angel person, like every day of my life. And I always was taught that there's help, but you have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask that they're God's intercessors
Yep.
and messengers, but you have to ask. So there's never any harm in asking in my book. Nothing too great or too small to ask for help with. And I have received so many instances of help, and then weird things sometimes that I think are validations of my prayers, like the wind chimes starting to ring and there's no wind.
Yes.
Just little things. Finding, I was talking to Father Shawn one day, and I looked down, there was a white feather on my leg.
Oh,
I
that's
was sitting outside, and all of those things count with me. I know a lot of people don't believe in miracles. Maybe they want really, really, really big miracles, but there's little miracles around us and help all the time. And it's only a prayer away. And one of the people, my favorite saint was my grandma's favorite saint is Padre Pio, and
oh,
he did a lot with angels. And he would send his angel to go talk to your angel, which I thought, this is hysterical. And then, saying that every city has an angel,
mm-hmm.
town has an angel, every church has an angel. So it's not just guardian angels for people. There's guardian angels all the way up to, a guardian angel for the whole nation, for, and that's kind of really cool. So there's a network. And you can always ask your angel to talk to somebody else's angel. you can ask. There's no harm ever in asking.
That's so true. It's our peeps talking to your peeps. I had an interesting experience over the summer. I went to the mall. I had to do some shopping, and I heard "make a left, make a right," and I could sense I had an angel with me. I'm like, "Is this you, Gabrielle?" So I'm just driving and talking on the phone, like kind of multitasking. And I heard "park here, look up in the sky." I looked up, the number 7 was in the sky.
Wow.
And I love numerology on top of it, right? So I go, this is really good. I did a picture of it and it relates to, angels. And I thought they just like show you, if you know what to look like, feathers, birds, God's messengers. I always find if I get 3 birds in a row and they act, they do goofy things that you ordinarily wouldn't expect, like a hawk in the middle of my driveway one time. And I said, no, 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 you're not going to eat anybody. Then another bird the next day under my bushes I was trying to get. And just like, you get those messages. It's just
Sure.
knowing what to look. And feathers and the sky, it's all, God's messages, So, and angels, I'm a big fan of angels.
All kinds of things. And I had one where I just swept and mopped the floor and came back in about 15 minutes later, and there was a penny on the floor, right in the middle of the floor, and it was from 1958. Yeah.
Wow.
And but I think through discernment, because people can have things happen and they could actually be good little, nice little things like validations. It doesn't have to mean you have a ghost or
No.
anything like that. No.
Uh-uh. Well, I have like a disco in my house all the time. So that's because I have ghosts. And that growing up was like, because my mom's this way, my brother was this way, it's a family trait, And but I always have pretty much good ghosts. They just never do the dishes or the bloody laundry or anything else. But I guess you got to train them too. Train your angels, train your guides, and your ghosts. But I know I was talking to somebody and they were like, I can't stand watching TV late at night. If it's like paranormal, caught on camera, or some kind of scary thing. And I'm like, I laugh. I don't know why. I'll watch it alone at 1 o'clock, and I'm like, because I have such a faith in God, and I know angels are there to protect us. So God created everything. If your God can create it, God can take it away, along with the angels, which are, there, and they do make their presence known. I've seen angels in my dreams, in my meditations, so and you can feel them, and I can usually sometimes see like an outline. I work a lot with Gabrielle, so it's people think you're crazy. Again, they think we're crazy. I'm like, yeah, no, we're probably as normal as it gets.
Right.
I get a lot of people that reach out to me about animal spirits. What's your
Oh.
take on? I can never remember. This is the first time in my life, truly, that I can remember never having. Well, I've got 5 outdoor cats that adopted my wife and I, and we take care of them. But um, as far back as I can remember, I can't remember never not having a dog. But the last 2 that I lost, it was just too hard on me. So right now we're taking a break, and I don't think we're going to get another dog. But I was at the Highland Games here, and a woman that didn't even know me walked up to me and said, I don't know who you are, and I don't know if you believe in psychics, but I am a psychic, and I've never seen anybody with as large a group of spirit animals following you around as see behind you. And I knew right then that she was legit because I've always had dogs. I was always so close to them like their family. I was always the one that took care of them. And it was always just so heartbreaking to lose them. Do you think there's such unconditional love there, and I don't know what they think about how much more knowledge of the universe a dog or a cat may get once they cross over, but are they here as much as disembodied human spirits or not as much, and we
Oh.
just always think of ghosts? Or what's your take on the spirit animals?
Oh, I get them all the time. I have 6 kitties. I always had doggies and kitties, and like you, I'm a big animal lover. And I had a client one time, and I don't know, she was talking to her minister. She was funny. I did never read her before, and she's like, really like stiff. I said, oh, your middle name is Marie, and your birthday's October, and blah blah. You just got a new job and whatever. And she was like, I don't believe him. Like, okay, whatever. I don't really care. I was laughing. I have fun. I'm like, it is what it is. I don't take it personal. And then I said, oh, and by the way, I said, you have a dog named Katie, and Katie came as a birthday present. She's here as a Christmas present. All of a sudden, the flood gate, right? And because I get a lot of animals in my readings. In fact, when I pass over, the first ones I want to see, all my animals, my hamsters, my cats, my dogs, my bird, then maybe my friends and family, we'll see. But I want to see them, you know. And at the time she said, well, my minister told me that, you know, when animals die, they don't have spirits. I go, spirit is the living force. And I said, go back and tell your minister that a psychic told you that. I go, that ought to be funny. You know, I thought it was hilarious, you know, but I see them all the time. And, you know, and if you're a true psychic, you know, you can see animals and you can see people. You know, there are psychics out there that just focus on animals. And I think that they're gifted, but they're probably not to the level that I'm at where I see people and animals. But you know, there are beings, and you know, and we're here to protect them. Those are our angels on earth, our animals. And again, I always say, don't test on, you know, animals, test on criminals. You know, let them redeem themselves. You know, so
What's their issue? Like, we always think about helping a spirit cross over. What's the story with the animals? Or are they here under their own decision, or they're just they don't cross over like human spirits do, and then they wait for maybe angels to come and take them to heaven? Or how does that work with them? Because I have them in my home.
oh yeah, I have them in my home too.
Sometimes I feel bad that how can I communicate with this spirit animal that maybe it should go where it needs to be? Or that's a hard one.
Well, it's like anything else. Like they cross over. Animals are lucky though. A loved one will come and take them to the other side, and you know they'll get situated. But then, like anybody else, they like to visit us. Like I've had out of body experiences. I actually had a near death 15 years ago. That's a whole other thing. But you know, they come back and they want to connect. So it's not that they haven't crossed over. They crossed over, and then they said, "Hey, I want to go back and see mom or dad or whatever," because you know that's where their connection is and their love. So animals, I'm never worried about. You know, it's just when you get the naughty spirits or when people, you know, they cross, but they haven't really crossed because they have some issues. And usually a loved one will try to say, come on over, Tom. And Tom might say, well, I'm really not ready. And I really like that car and, or whatever. I really want to, you know, or Tom's a little bit on the naughty side, you know, and so, you know, he's having a little bit of an adjustment. But animals usually, I've never had an animal that hasn't crossed over and then has decided to come back and visit, which is good. So they've seen like their animal mommy and daddy and then extended family, um, you know, and then they just come back to visit. Like I have two cats in my house that passed over. So I have visitors. I'll look and I'm like, oh, okay. You know, so you know, and it's funny in one way, you know you have spirits, whether they're animal or ghost spirits, if you have a pet and your pet sort of like dozes off and sort of like looks into space and you're like, oh, who are you looking at? Chances are it's like, you know, maybe it's your father, or maybe it's your mother, you know, or maybe it's, you know, another dog or cat that they're seeing. So, you know,
The
but
darker side of that is um, animal. In a lot of cases I work, the children and the animals are the targets. And
yes,
before I even go there, I
yes.
don't do religious provocation, but I know just me showing up is provocation enough. I'll tell the family to board their dogs and send their
Mhm.
children to the babysitter while I'm there visiting, because if this whatever's there gets provoked and lashes out, they always lash out at the animals and the children. And I'm going to bring this up because I know this is going to include Annette, because I know Annette. Have a lot of people that reach out to me that I know are gifted. Probably nowhere near on the level that you're gifted psychically, but I believe the reason why a lot of people have such issues with spirits is because they are psychically gifted and either don't know it
Mhm.
or suspect it but don't know the limitations of their gift. Annette gets visited a lot. She has a lot of weird things to happen, especially when she's editing paranormal books for her
Oh,
authors
yeah.
and stuff. But I've had two crazy cases in my life. One was a Buddhist, a man who practiced, he knew he was gifted, he didn't know how much, but he practiced deity yoga. And his family reached out to me for help because they felt that in one of these deity yoga sessions, inviting the spirit in to communicate through him, it ended up not leaving. And then I had another lady who was very psychically gifted reach out to me. And same thing, she was a trance medium and she didn't talk to someone like you on how to turn it off or be in
Mhm.
more control of it. And during some of these trance
Ooh.
sessions, it got harder and harder and harder for her to get the spirit out that entered and now was freely communicating to people around. I mean, her physical face would change and her voice
Yeah.
would change like a possession. For all of the people out there that may suspect that they're gifted and don't know, how do you protect yourself, and what would your advice be for a lot of people out there that are gifted that don't know if they should pursue this, they should shut it off, or what they should do?
Well, you always want to have a good foundation and understanding of this realm, which the nice thing is that, it's becoming more popular. You're educating people, and what I always do, I surround myself with God's white light every day. I put the prayer out. I surround myself with God's white light. So I put like a little bubble over me. And that's what people sometimes miss. And, sometimes they could be standing in a grocery line and pick up somebody's gunk or whatever that's attached to them. So I always tell people you should, surround yourself with God's white light every day. There's a lot of energy that's going out and you don't want to pick it up in the public, sector. And then trying to have a firmer, better understanding. If you get that pit in your stomach, most people, Psychic 101, you get that gut feeling, you want to lean into it and pay attention. And I would record it and just say, hey, I have this weird feeling. If you have a weird feeling, write it down, write what you're getting, how you're getting, and follow it. And then you can start to see, your psychic abilities evolving. But you always want to understand, you want to have a good understanding of it. And you always want to have the intention behind it because people miss that boat. Oh, let's, everything that goes bump in the night and let's explore it out of curiosity. But you got to be
Right.
careful how you open the door because if your intention is for something, that energy goes out that you're looking for nonsense and you'll pull some sort of, energy in. And the other thing is you got to watch around the people that you associate with too, because there's a lot of people that delve into the black arts now, so they think it's cool, and it's like, you don't want to be around that energy either. You don't want to attract that or if you're stuck, say at a work situation, then you definitely want to surround yourself with God's white light because that energy will seep in, or they might be, putting little spells out there, and spells really do exist. So, but
With
it's
a net, do you think it's more a net, or do you think it's actually when she's doing she receives these transcripts and she's now editing these books? Is it the attachment to the book itself, or is it more her?
well, in Annette's case, because you're very psychic and you got an amazing aura, so you're going to have that antenna out. So that book will find you. And the contents of the book, may want to toy with you because they know, like that energy will find the white light types of individuals. So you'll attract it because of your white light, but at the same time, because of what it has, now it wants to play with you.
I think sometimes it doesn't want the book to go out in the world. It doesn't want their story going out in the world.
Well, yeah, in some
I
places, I
think
think you're
that
100%
happens.
right. Yeah.
But different things have happened with different books. But I had like my first experience when I was 16, and I believe it was just my understanding. We got a lot of great chatters. Hi, Michelle. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Tammy. My friend Roberta's here. Berta. We got just all kinds of people in here talking and telling their stories. It's fabulous. If I miss
Dynamite.
anybody, I'm sorry. If I miss anybody,
No, not at all.
but I don't really want it. I
Mhm.
don't. I had a friend I was very close to. Shawn knows her. I'll tell you the name later. And she said that she went to a class to expand her psychic abilities because she saw a lot of spirits. And after that, she said every night she slept with one of those sleep masks on, and
Mhm.
she was chugging NyQuil to go to sleep because things would come to her and bother her every night. And she said sometimes they would touch her. And I'm like, oh, wait. And she
Well,
doesn't know how to make it stop. I'm like,
she just needs to put her foot down about that.
I'm an Archangel Michael person for
I love
protection.
Archangel Michael.
And I
Yeah.
say that prayer every night before I go to bed. And I don't really have a lot of trouble. And I'm kind of, I've been around it for so long that you can startle me, but it's hard to make me truly Scared any? I shouldn't. Well, I shouldn't say that. Maybe some. Now I see a lot of it like shenanigans, and not like something's really trying to do something really awful bad. I see it as like shenanigans.
Well, sometimes people on the other side, you might be startled and take it the wrong way, but they're just trying to do what they can to get your attention.
Right.
So you could always say, do you come in the name of God? I rebuke you, I bind you, if you're a negative energy. If not, do you come in the name of God? That's what I do. And you can kind of tell. Some people, I think, get startled. The other thing, if somebody's having like some sort of like crisis, they're depressed or they have anxiety or, something like that, they really shouldn't develop their psychic abilities till they're more grounded, because it can open up, different doorways, and you might get messages, like a little girl. I predicted my dad's passing. 3 weeks later, he dropped dead suddenly. He was in great shape, and, that's when I realized I was psychic. It didn't help. My mom would say, oh, there's going to be a train crash, or we'd go shopping and I'd see dead people or whatever. I thought it was normal, but, it is what it is. But you get sometimes information that maybe you aren't comfortable with. To me, I just feel God's going to send me the information. It's just what, I'm destined to do with it, so kind of like,
What do you enjoy most about what it is you do? Do you have a preference? Like, I just like to give readings, or I like to go ghost hunting, or I like to just let it all hang out.
um, I like all different aspects. I love audience style because I'll like pick people out of the audience.
Oh
It's really
yeah, I've seen some of those videos. That's pretty amazing. Because how do you must just get bombarded with
yes, I do.
everybody raising their hand, all the ghosts raising their hand. Everybody wants to talk.
Yeah, it's so true. And I'll get stuff like I see like TV screens, past, present, and future. So somebody might say, hey, I'm Marla's, mother, over here, all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's funny, sometimes spirits will blow people in. So I was doing this one show the one time, and I said to this woman, I said, there's a Henry here. He said he just passed away. And she looked at me. She goes, well, he did earlier this morning, which that has a whole nother weird connection. Things get weird around me, right? And she says, but his daughter was supposed to be here. I said, oh, well, show her this thing or whatever. And I said, but wait, I'm connected to you up there. And there was another woman way up in the balcony. I said, wait, I'm with you, but I'm with you. He's telling me I'm with both of you. And she goes, oh, we decided to sit apart. So they were trying to trick the psychic. And I go, you're
Oh.
busted. Oh, yeah. I could
Yeah.
tell you all sorts of crazy stories. Like this is like just weird stuff, because you meet so many different people. I'm like, I don't judge. That's your thing. As long as you don't hurt animals, you're good in my books. But yeah, when I do audience, it's fun. I like doing investigations too. Those are always fun. I mean, I do my regular practice. I'd like to see people change. I like to see the transformation. I like to see people where, maybe they come in their one spot. My biggest two really big things that I like to do, working with people that have lost their kids and people that lose their animals, because when you work with people that lose their kids, there's just such a shift, and there's that heart. And when you can sit down and say, oh my God, Christopher's here and he's your son and blah, blah, whatever you're going to, whatever comes in, at least gives them hope. And the same thing with animals, that's like a heartbreak. Like my animals have always been my children because I don't have kids. So anytime people lose, animals and kids. So when I can get them from a bad place to a better place, that's what it's all about, and I've worked with people that have HIV, and I've gotten them to a better place, or, our whole mission in life is to manage our emotions and help to lift the other person up, and I think nowadays we're so narcissistic that we sometimes lose sight of that.
Yeah.
I love that. That's a perfect mission in life.
Yeah.
I've always, kind of thought our mission in life was not to become bitter. How easy it is to become bitter, sooner or later. And you see a lot of people like that. And if you're bitter long enough, you wear that expression on your face.
Yes.
It turns into it.
Yes.
It's really easy to get bitter because life's hard. And it hurts. A lot of hurtful things happen, and everybody suffers sooner or later. Something bad happens. There's nobody that has some charmed life where nothing bad has ever happened to them. No tragedy has ever struck for them. There's no people like that.
Well, and I tell people life is like a game, right? And the more evolved you become, the higher the lesson. And that's why I tell people you never want to commit suicide, because when you cross over, you think it's bad here. You don't know where you're going to go. You may go to the schoolhouse, or you may go somewhere south, a little hot down that way, and then you'll have to at some point come back to life and go through the lessons all over again to see if you pass the grade. So life is really much, a game. Try to get it, the first time out. And being bitter like that just poisons you.
Mhm.
Life's too bloody short.
Talk about game, something that I've been thinking for the last maybe year is that a lot of things are tests. And if
Mhm.
I'm able to be my highest self
Mhm.
and get through the test, then I'm going to get a blessing.
So true. So true. Yeah, it's just funny how people look at the world, and I think we need more of that type of mindset instead of the traditional, type of mindset that we've been in the last few years accustomed to, what we've been conditioned to believe.
Yeah.
Karyn, is there anything you want to let people know about you? You're probably one of the busiest people on the planet, and I've got a few minutes left before I've got to kick you out of here. You've got a wonderful website. You've got all these films of you on YouTube. You've been on all these TV shows. You tour around. Is there anything you want people to know about you? Halloween season's coming up. Um, Anything you want people to know about you, how they can reach out to you,
Sure.
and what you got going on in your life right now.
Well, first of all, I don't cook. I'll just let everybody know that. I believe in the 4 food groups: can frozen and takeout reservations. So, yeah, not good in the kitchen, but I'm working on an upcoming TV show. So that's in the works right now. I've got a couple other things too that I'll circle back to the two of you about, sometime in the next couple of weeks about. And, I do my live Instagram. I'm going to be doing a live YouTube pretty soon too, because a lot of people, it's fun, you get the audience and you get this connection of community, like-minded people. And I think what I would tell people: believe in yourself, know that you have the power within, you have the godliness within to manifest your life. This is your life, and don't ever let anybody or anything get you down. You have that power, and listen to your intuition. And I'll be doing classes, by the way. I've been doing them on and off, so I'll be doing some more classes coming
Should
up.
they go to your? I thought I wrote your website down. I might not have. I was
Yep.
just on there too, stalking you
It's
again.
KarynReece.com.
Yep. And Hooked on Phonics were not my parents, because they spell my name both Karyn, Karyn, and Reece, Reece. Can't tell you how many times people will call me Kathy or whatever. They'll misspell my name, and I'm like, nope, let's try it one more time. So, but
Well, listen, you know I love you and respect you. I think you're super cool.
likewise.
Um, can you just in a couple of minutes just give me what it was like? You said you ran into Jesus a couple of times. I That's
Yeah.
something you and I have in common. With what was one of the times that
Experience.
you ran into? Yeah.
Oh my God, he thinks I'm a pain in the ass, okay? Because I'm just like, it is what it is. So one time I was out of body and I'm in this canoe, and there were 3 men in front of me, and they had like the little monkey suit thing going on. And I've seen them before. And all of a sudden they stop. I'm about 10 yards off of, from land. And Karyn doesn't swim, not in this world or that world, even though I grew up in Niagara Falls, right? And all of a sudden the two of them got out, and I go, what are you guys doing? And they started walking on water. We've heard that experience before. And I'm like, there's different, laws on the other side. And I'm like, you guys can't leave me here. I'm like, I can't even doggy paddle. This is just so rude. That's just not being nice. And they're like, oh my God, this poor woman. Finally, the guy in the front turns around, and it's Jesus. I said, oh, thank God at least we have one gentleman, Jesus. And he's like, Reece, and I've met him numerous times. As a little girl, I'd see him. I actually drew a portrait of him because I was artistically gifted. And I thought about being in plastic surgery back in the day. But anyways, and he goes, you can do it, Karyn. I go, I can't walk on water. I can't even swim. I'm lucky if I can even doggy paddle. That's like 10 yards up. Besides, I don't want to get wet. And Jesus says, well, you're going to have to do something. He goes, just try it. He gets up, he starts walking. And I'm like, okay. So finally, I'm like, well, I got to do something. So I got up and I started to walk. Now, it must have been, I don't know, 20 feet down. It was like a little creek river thing. and I could feel my feet walking. It felt sort of like an ice cube, kind of slippery, but not slippery, but kind of cool. And the water went up to my ankles, and I actually walked. I thought that was just so interesting. And I'm like, Jesus did it. And I can tell you all other types of stories, but that one especially I thought was interesting. But yeah, I talked to Jesus a lot, talked to God a lot. I'm like, poor God's like, Karyn, really again, But yeah, that's my story, by the way. This one
Well,
has to
will
play.
you? Did you have fun? Will you come back?
Yes, and thank you so much. And Annette, you and I need to talk because I've been getting information about you the entire time here, which is a lot of fun.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. So call me and we'll do, your reading for you. So
Oh, I
yeah.
appreciate that. That's so nice.
Oh, yeah.
And I know, Karyn, when you and I spoke on the phone, we had a wonderful conversation. And I know you and I both had a sense that we were going to work together. There might be a project floating around in the cosmos, deciding if it's going to land in our lap or not. I still get that feeling. There's something about you and I don't know what it is, but so maybe that will happen.
It's going to happen. Well, the backstory, I don't look at my social media that often. I was late at night looking at LinkedIn and I'm just kind of do. And then you popped up. It was really weird. Just before you popped up, I'm like, I feel something very godly. And even the way you popped up, it wasn't like I decided to go look into like our world. I mean, I was like looking all over the place, just for shits and giggles. And then I'm like, this guy's really cool. I feel connected to you. And then I'm like, oh my God, I've seen you on TV. And I'm like, this is Shawn. And I'm like, Father Shawn rocks. And I'm like, I'm definitely going to get a hold of you. I just had that connection. You just know the connection. Like you and I have a long past life tie. We're probably shooting
we'll
apples at
we'll
everybody.
we'll talk. We'll talk about that. Listen, I want you to have a wonderful, wonderful remainder to your Friday evening. God bless you.
Thank you.
I pray. I've added you to the prayer list. I pray for you all the time. Keep in touch. I'll keep in touch with you. I
Yes.
want you and Annette hook up, and I'll be in touch with you. Okay. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for having me. And God bless both of you. And Annette, give me a call. We'll talk.
Thanks. And I got a message from Tammy Johnson about cold cases. So if you get
Oh, yeah.
message on your site, Tammy Johnson, and she was from the show, she wanted to ask you.
Definitely. I've worked on cases before. In fact, the very first show that I worked on, Coast to Coast, I said we're going to have a murder case, and my fourth caller was a murder case. So,
Wow.
yeah, I get all sorts of crazy. It's like a disco in my house. Live with the dead, as I say. Love you. Thank you. God bless
Cheers.
you.
We'll see you
It was,
later.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Karyn Reece.
that
I
was so
told
fun.
you. I told you we're gonna love her.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely spectacular.
Um, do we have time for the joke? Sure. Let's have a joke. I got a ton of jokes sent to me this week, so I better say at least one real quick. Two guys walk into a bar. The third guy ducks. Okay. I love you. I respect you. You know that. Have a great remainder to your Friday evening. I'll see
Have
you
a great
later.
rest of your Friday.
See you next Friday. We got a
See you
good
next
guest.
Friday. Everybody have a great weekend. Thank
Bye
you.
bye. Annette Munich. Just got a few moments left. Stay tuned for Spirit Switchboard with Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. That's a great show. Anybody want to be a sponsor and have their brand mentioned live on show, reach out to us if you want to be a sponsor. I love you all. God bless United Public Radio Network, UPRN 107.7 FM New Orleans for carrying my show. God bless Michelle DeRoche for making that happen. You all have a wonderful remainder to your weekend. Remember, we may have done what the devil said we did, but we are not who the devil says we are. Good night, Danny. Good night, Jack. Good night, Dog. Good night, Harold. Rest in peace. Good night, Ernie. Good night, Bill. Good night, Dan. I love you all. God bless you all in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Peace.